Good evening and welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and my cousin Chris. Tonight, we've got a packed show for you. The U.S. Senate is in session, and CNN.com reports that they voted to take up a stopgap bill that would keep the government funded through December 16th as lawmakers work to avert a shutdown by the end of this week. The House returns tomorrow. Let's see if they can do the same. The Philadelphia Eagles are ranked number 1 in the NFC East. Russia, President Vladimir Putin begins his country's draft of 300,000 men, whether they are well or not. NBA season starts today with controversy late last week with the owner of the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury preparing to sell both teams because of his actions. Looks like a few of former President Trump's men, Roger Stone in particular, may have to face the January 6th committee, which will be postponing their hearing tomorrow. NASCAR with Stephen as he discusses Tyler Reddick's win in Texas. And some scientists say that research shows COVID raises the risk of long-term brain injury. Fraudsters, also, Reuters says that fraudsters likely stole $45.6 billion from the U.S. unemployment insurance program. That's a lot of our money. Former Packers and Vikings quarterback Brett Favre may be in some serious legal trouble in Mississippi. We'll talk about that. Federal Reserve Chairman Powell says to Americans, brace yourself for more pain ahead as the federal policymakers raise rates for the 5th time this year in a bid to kill the highest inflation in more than 4 decades. However, this may push us into a recession. That and more, if we can fit it in. First up, NASCAR with Stephen. Stephen, let's talk about the win in Texas. What happened in Texas?
Well, Texas was a 1.5-mile track. It was a pretty decent, okay race. It's disappointing because Tyler Reddick is not in the playoffs. He just missed it. He should have been in, but he's not. He won the race. He's still racing for ownership points and money and a lot of other things, but he's just not part of the playoffs, which is weird. No, I don't think there's any other sport in the world that would ever think that you can have the playoffs, but have some of the people still participating and every week, and they're not even in the playoffs. Right. It's just weird to me, but that's the way it is. It's cool, whatever. But it's funky. But they have 6 more races left. And another thing that's funky, NASCAR has really just gone over its head, upside down with everything it's done, from the cars and the everything they've done. So this year, they have a super speedway, Talladega, in the playoffs. Talladega is always just a train wreck, and you never know who's going to wreck. So the first 7 people that are in the lead in the playoffs could go out and finish last, second to last, third to last, fourth. This is what could happen. It's just so weird. They haven't made it like a sync thing where you can root for somebody and then you know they're going to win. But it's what they wanted to do. It is fun. It is interesting. And Talladega next week is going to be great. And if you haven't seen the race this year, this is a week to watch one because Talladega is going to be fun.
So
it's a fun.
So what
race.
happened? They said some tempers really flared during this race. Tell us what happened. Whose tempers flared?
Well, Everybody's tippers flared. I think I see. I didn't see the entire race, but I think it was Kevin Harvick because he's always into something with somebody. But it doesn't matter. Tippers flaring is an attempt to get people behind the scenes really to watch it. Nobody's got hurt anybody. Nobody's ever hit anybody in racing in the last 30 years for real. It's just they have to compete with the NFL on Sundays. And it's really hard to compete with the NFL. And what they should do is race on Saturdays because
and not compete with the NFL
college.
Right.
No, you can't. So it's really hard. So if anybody has any beef with anybody this time of year, because generally all these people, they all get along. If they have any real beef, somebody hits somebody, someone does something, every now and then it might be like people want to just really get at it. Sometimes, just like everything else, it's a little bit of drama. That's all it is.
Okay.
But the racing's still good. The racing's fun, and this Talladega is going to be great. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bubba won this race because he's great at super speedways.
How could he be so great at super speedways? And feel free to join in, Chris. But how could he be so great at super speedways when he doesn't really do that well? You know what I mean? He doesn't even win that many races.
No, he does. No,
Bubba Wallace doesn't win that many races a year.
No, but he does well. Like he finishes well, top 10. He has
always. I could finish the top 10 if I had been racing as long as Bubba Wallace. If we just switch my name and my body into Bubba Wallace's, and like I've done the time in the year, like years that Bubba Wallace has done. It seems like to me I could have been the top 10 either. Where's his winning?
Stacey, no disrespect, but you couldn't hang with Bubba Wallace. He's one of the top race car drivers in the entire world. The guys in NASCAR are better than any driver in any other sport. I truly believe this.
Even Formula
you can't
One?
Compete with Bubba Wallace. Not even Formula One. No. That's just like doing a little video game, and they turn the steering wheel this much. It's not much to it to me. But, I mean, it's still cool. I still love it. But I don't think they compete to the guys from NASCAR. These guys they're all like Evel Knievel. Crazy.
All right. So let me share my screen and let's try to take a look at what happened with the race. Hold on one second. Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And yet here they are, still winning races and still a team, as Randall Burnett told me earlier today. And how about the Texas race fans who stayed here through this long night of racing? And Tyler Reddick brings it home to victory lane. What an incredible night. I got to know, with all the tire issues, as you kind of say, yeah, you're right, an incredible night. How worried were you on that final run because you went so long on this set of Goodyears?
I was extremely worried, I'm not going to lie. Unfortunately, just about every time we've had fast cars, we've had some tire problems. And, that last run, the right sides were vibrating really, really hard there. So I was just trying to maximize and just use the advantage that the gap that I built over Joey, just in case. I mean, every time we've had a strong car, we've been bit by something, man. So really proud to be able to get this Lenovo Chevy to victory lane. I mean, we were at Auto Club earlier this year. We were so fast with this car, and they deserve to get to victory lane. We got them there.
How did this team stay together through all the adversity you faced this year? You leaving, Kyle coming in, and not making it to this round, Tyler?
Well, it was tough. I mean, 2 points. Every spot matters in this deal, and we just had 2 tough races. We brought a really fast car to Darlington, and we were leading at Kansas when we broke and fell out early, and so it's tough. But this will make that the pain of not making it through a little bit easier. Even though, yes, it would have locked us in around 8, but hey, we're winning races. That's what we'll keep trying to do.
What a long night. How about these Texas race fans who hung out for all of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hot one. Thank you to the fans coming out. I really appreciate it. This is a tough race. 500 miles here is not an easy feat, and I know it wasn't easy on you guys as well. So it's just so great to be able to win here in a Cup car. Been close a few times, and look at Lombardi. Yeah, let's go!
There you go. The guys are out here. What a veteran crew. Tyler Reddick brings it to victory lane at Texas.
he's having fun. He's having a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about with racing. It's just a really fun sport. And if you can get into it and just watch a couple races, you'll be hooked for life, like I have been for many years, a lot of years. So it was
Okay, Chris.
like I said,
Go ahead. You can finish up before I ask Chris about any comment before we move on to NFL.
Talladega is next week.
Okay.
Talladega is next week, and it's so much fun. This is a crazy race. Then it's so much fun to watch, and you never know what's going to happen.
All right, Chris, any comment before we move on?
Well, I have one comment about Jimmy Johnson retiring, the Tom Brady of NASCAR. Everybody hated him winning races as many as he did, but he finally retired. He was a good racer, and best of luck to him for the rest of his life.
Great, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
All
That's
right,
awesome.
on to the NFL.
Yeah, I like Jimmy too.
Let's go on to the NFL. I want to talk about everybody's team but mine first. So, Chris, you want to start with yours?
Buffalo Bills, we had a tough loss on Sunday. 90-degree heat, 5 defensive starters out, 3 offensive starters went out during the game. But that's no excuse. I mean, Miami players don't excuse themselves when they play in 10-degree weather up in Buffalo, the Jets. So a loss is a loss. It was a good game, though. But we talked about it last week where we said that Miami could possibly win this game. It was going to be a tough game. And it proved to be a tough game. But unfortunately, we lost, but we'll get them next time.
So what was so tough about Miami? 90-degree people usually, like you said, go up to Buffalo and they play, and 10 below and they win. So you're saying the heat is what caused Buffalo to lose?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. You gotta figure, Stacey, Miami practices in the heat as well. So they're used to it. I mean, you might play in Buffalo.
I don't know about that. That doesn't even sound plausible.
We had 4 guys literally cramp up on the field. It's plausible, yeah.
Stacey, every team that goes in September to play a Florida team loses. Look at the stats. This happens. This is a real thing. These guys, when they cramp up and they're off the field, they can't play. The best players cramp up for the team that's visiting Florida teams. He's exactly correct. This is not hyperbole. This is not a joke. This is what happens. This is why the teams lose when they go down there. This is real. Because they're used to it down there. When you get used to something, then you got the advantage. That's the advantage they have.
That has nothing to do with the offense. That has nothing to do with the defense.
Miami and Buffalo.
No, that doesn't even sound right.
Stacey.
And Keith, we don't even know why you're talking about football. You don't know anything about NFL, Keith. Come on, man.
Stacey, Florida heat is not the same as Virginia heat. Virginia heat is not the same as New York heat.
It's not the same as
totally different things.
It's not the
same.
What were you going to say, Keith?
He's telling you the truth, Stacey.
I said I played football in high school, and I know about conditions. Some are used to playing in the mud, just like it used to be like Cincinnati. Some of those other Baltimore, they were used to the snow. But that was back in the day. Before they had artificial turf and indoor playing.
Oh, he played in high school. Oh, okay.
But that has a lot to do. No, I'm just saying that it definitely has a lot to do. The environment has a lot to do with your football, your performance. It's on the outdoors.
All right. So let's go to the next losing team. The Washington Commanders. Steven.
The Washington Redskins.
What is Steven?
And y'all are getting very sleepy.
From watching the Redskins, you're right.
From watching the Redskins, y'all are getting very sleepy. Because they're you know what? They've never addressed their line issues, and that's the biggest problem with the Redskins, Commanders, the football team, whatever you want to call them. That's the biggest problem. The offensive line, defensive line, they're having really big problems, and it showed up against a team that was red hot right now. That is the #1 team in the NFL, but they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. But they are the #1 team. But this is what's the problem. The #1 team right now. This is the problem with the Commanders, the Redskins. They have a coach that can't coach very well. He can't make adjustments. This is his
I'm glad you
problem.
called.
Rivera, he's do what?
I'm glad you called them the Redskins. I like that. I like that name.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they are still the Redskins. The Blackfoot Indians decided that's what they wanted to be. That's a Blackfoot Indian on the helmet, and a Blackfoot artist drew it, and the Blackfoot people decided this is what they wanted and they thought they got great pride out of it. But
Right.
stupid people made them change their
I didn't
name.
know
They are the Redskins.
I hear Nas.
They are not. They are not.
They
No, it
are the
doesn't- you don't have to
Commanders.
you don't have to do that. But when the same people take this country back over, they will be the Redskins again.
Okay, we gotta stick. Okay, we got. Okay, now, excuse me. That's it. We have to stick with your fact that your team lost, and I want to talk about how they lost. Stephen, how did the Washington Commanders lose?
Commanders.
They do not have a team that can compete with the Eagles right now. You know what's so funny? That was given gifts like added boost for MGM, added boost if I take Hurts to throw two touchdowns and to get 250 yards passing. I'm like, this is the easiest bet ever. And I bet other bets on the Eagles to beat the Redskins or the Commodores or the Commanders or whatever they are, because that's the easiest bets in the world. There's no way Washington could compete with Philadelphia this week. There was no way. So when they paid me all that money from MGM, I sent them an email to tell them how much I'm sorry and apologize for hurting them as bad as I did this week, because it was obvious the Redskins had nothing for them. They're a team that can compete to go to the Super Bowl. The Redskins cannot compete to go to the toilet bowl. They do have two excellent wide receivers, but it's not going to help them. If you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a defensive line, you have a coach that never did anything. The only thing this coach ever had was a running back. What's his name? I mean, he's so irrelevant now. He's played 6 games in 3 years. McCaffrey. He's so irrelevant. That's the only reason Rivera had a good record, because he had one of the best running backs that was healthy. Rivera is not a good coach. He doesn't make adjustments, and the Redskins, Commodores, Commanders football team cannot compete in this league. And I don't bet on them to win any more games this year. Fly, Eagles, fly. That was a good game, and I'm so glad they did me well. My favorite team, when it comes down to it, is the one that puts the most money in my pockets.
All right. Okay. So, Nas, you're on. Do you want to talk about your losing team?
Oh, no, everything is going according to plan.
Oh, what's that plan?
Be competitive.
He bets on them to lose.
And ultimately lose. We need draft picks. It's a rebuild.
Oh, so the Dirty Birds of the South lost. The Atlanta Falcons lost.
As they should.
Oh, that's terrible.
I thought they was gonna pull out the win. I couldn't have that.
You couldn't have them win.
No, we can't win. We need to lose. We need to lose a lot. But to that Philly Washington thing though, the thing to think about though is the Carson Wentz. Philly basically gave up on this guy and decided they would go with Jalen Hurts. And we've seen this guy in 2 different franchises since then. He just wasn't that good to begin with. He just was overhyped, and Philly knows all his flaws, and they just sent everybody at him. I think they sacked him 10 times. Like, it was embarrassing. Now, you can blame the offensive line for some of that, but a lot of that was the same stuff they complained about in Philly. Him holding the ball, him trying to make big plays instead of taking the check down. So, same old Carson Wentz. He got what he deserved. And, yeah, it was a good game by Philly. Shout out to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is kicking butt. There's nothing more scarier to any team than a confident, very confident quarterback. You see, he's made some improvements, and I mean, we've got nowhere to go, but all the way up.
Man, we're not in October yet. Calm down.
Our defense was spot on. Our offense was ready. like you said, Carson Wentz, he was just sacrificing his body like he always does, which is horrible. And what's his name? Slay was slaying them like crazy. And I mean crazy. So it was just a good look. It was just a good win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds, go Eagles fly, Eagles fly. Sorry, not sorry. Speaking of football, let's talk about Nas. I want you to start it. I want you to talk about former quarterback for the Packers and the Minnesota Vikings, Brett Favre, and his involvement in this Mississippi scandal.
Well, I mean, Brett Favre has always been somewhat of a raggedy sort. You got the allegations back in the day of him harassing that reporter, Jen Sturger, sending unsolicited, pics to her. You had the situation. You had the situation in Green Bay where he was basically holding the franchise ransom. Became like this ultimate me guy. Maybe I'll retire, maybe I won't. So, it is what it is. I'm not going to talk about his Viking addiction because that's, that could happen to anybody who plays professional football. But, he's ultimately always been a terrible guy. It's just the press of his play on the field kind of overwhelmed people, and he became, the Wrangler spokesman and all this other stuff. But ultimately, who he is at bottom, this is a guy who made over $135 million in career earnings, and yet he's dipping into the till of the state government from welfare money in order to pay for his pet projects, things like a volleyball stadium for his daughter. And there were plans also for a football stadium upgrade that he was going to use government money for. Now, initially, when the story broke, he lied, said he didn't know anything about it, didn't have any connection with the governor, but they got the text messages, Freedom of Information Act, so they got him dead to rights, not only soliciting for the money, but we get it, laid out what it was for and how dogged he was in pursuing the money. So Brett Favre is a terrible person. Hopefully he sees some time for this because this is egregious. We're talking about in Mississippi, the state where, basically any bad metric you want to look at, they're either 49 or 50 when it comes to ratings in the country. And that governor of that state, Tate Reeves, he's the one who initially held up the money for the reform for the water system in Jackson, Mississippi. And, if you want to get a little deeper into that, you can find out earlier on, he set up a deal with the Southern company, Georgia Power, to where they made the residents pay for nuclear reactors prepaid through their billing. So, this is a raggedy, conservative, Republican government that people never have to answer for because they don't talk about what conservatives actually do, which is, for the most part, gerrymander districts, attack people who they think will not vote for them, which is usually black and brown people. And ultimately, you see the graft, which is the other part, because it's not only Brett Favre, you got multiple family members of the governor and associates of this same political machine who are also involved in this and taking other state budgetary money. So again, Republicans always talking about no taxes and no spending and everything else, but what they do with their own budget, that's where you see the criminality. So I'll just end there.
So I want to share my screen so you can see this plea deal, this article. Okay, I don't know if you can see it now. Charles Robinson, NFL columnist for Yahoo Sports, on Thursday, September 22nd at 7:33 p.m. He said, in a development that could impact Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre, a key figure in an unfolding Mississippi welfare misappropriation scandal, entered into a plea deal with state and federal prosecutors this past Thursday. So in a deal announced by the U.S. Department of Justice, John Davis, the former director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, entered a guilty plea Thursday for his role in a scheme that misdirected more than $70 million in welfare funds earmarked to support the state's neediest residents. And And the question would be, and Stephen, I know Angela has been a long time Brett Favre fan, and she is a Packers fan. What does she say about this? And what do you all say about a man who, as Nas said, he earned hundreds of millions of dollars and is going to be in a deal that affects the neediest people, the people who don't have access to the money he has, the people that don't make what he makes, the people that don't have the opportunities that he has. For him to do that, to take advantage of them, what do you say about that, Stephen?
That we haven't talked about. It hasn't been brought up in conversation at all. I don't know why. I haven't thought about it. She hasn't thought about it. There's other stuff going on in the world that supersedes it. If he did anything that was wrong and they can prove it and it's true, then whatever comes to him should come to him. Whatever bad should come. And if it's 100% true that all of this that they're saying puts him in a terrible spotlight, and he accepts that fact that he really screwed up and he's got to pay the consequences, then I'm cool with that. I just don't know enough about this. I haven't talked about it with her or anybody else because it hasn't been that a big of a thing yet. If he gets convicted of it, maybe it will be something. But right now, it's more in a preliminary stage than anything else. I'm not sure if people know how this is going to turn out, because I don't.
Okay, well, let me ask you, Chris. People don't know how it's going to turn out, but if you look at this article, let me share my screen again.
The fact that Stephen doesn't know much about it, that means it probably has not been up on the dark web.
I don't go on the dark web like you do, Todd.
Oh.
I stay on the light web. I go where the light is. I stay where the light and the truth is. You should try it, Todd.
It says, if you look at this, I'm sharing my screen. If you can see it, can you see it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It says Favre, as we used to say, has come under media scrutiny. Media scrutiny for nearly 8.1 million in welfare funds that were allegedly doled out to entities tied to the former NFL star. Of that sum, 1.1 million
allegedly
directly went to Favre.
Allegedly.
Stephen, you know that they gave this money to Brett Favre, and you know that they gave it to him because they were going to get something out of it. They didn't just give him $81 million for no
allegedly.
reason.
Anytime anybody says allegedly, let's just wait till it ends up. We don't know for sure. You know what?
O.J. Simpson allegedly was not guilty of killing his wife.
Maybe I believe the same way you do, but I don't want to commit to it until it becomes confirmed. That's all I'm saying.
Well, when he's in jail,
you do. Maybe I believe the way Stacey does and Todd, but I don't want to commit to it until it actually happens.
When he hires a lawyer, you know it's true.
So let me finish this. So for public speaking appearances that allegedly he didn't make, they said that money went to him to make public speaking appearances, and he didn't make those public speaking appearances, along with $5 million to the construction of a volleyball building at his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi, and another $2 million to the pharmaceutical startup that Favre has been tied to as an investor. But the interesting part is, a while ago, Favre said that, no, it says it right here, Favre repaid the 1.1 million for the uncompleted speaking engagements. So someone just said that, and I don't know if it was you, Stephen, I don't know who said it, but someone just said that he didn't get that money. Then why did he repay money he did not get?
No, I didn't say he didn't get it, but if he repaid that money, Keith? That's pretty good. But you know what's fun? But no, Keith didn't say it either. But you know what's funny is if he had not.
You are what's funny.
Thank you, Todd.
So what were you saying, Stephen?
Right now, the entire story. Right now, we don't know the entire story of what actually happened, and we should wait before we pass judgment.
Why not just say next person? What's wrong with you?
No, but you said Stacey. But look, Nas said that he's a Republican conservative. We don't know if Brett Favre is a Republican conservative. He just wants to jab a Republican conservative because Brett Favre is a white guy. He's like, this is what conservative Republicans do. They do just like Brett Favre, and they rip off welfare recipients. That's what Nas said.
All right.
No, it's not.
So I think
political.
Yeah, so Brett Favre is
nothing to do with
and
what
the
he did
government that we're talking about.
If he's guilty,
that he was
he's
making
guilty.
these
If he's
sweetheart
guilty,
deals
go to
with,
jail, Brett.
it
I don't care. I'm not
wasn't
losing
conservative government.
If he's guilty,
So
he's
what are you
guilty.
talking about? Man who hasn't read anything about the story, who wants to comment? What are you talking about?
I
So,
know about the,
okay.
I know about the story. I know about the story.
So, I think this is really bad for those people in Mississippi who don't have that money and who were looking for a way to make Mississippi better, because I'm sure that's why they, wanted to do this deal in the first place. They thought it was a great opportunity for their state and their particular jurisdiction. But for a man as rich as Favre, for a man as rich as Favre to take a $1.1 million and not speak and then give that money back doesn't speak well for him. It really doesn't.
Why is he asking for money to build his daughter's volleyball gym? He's a millionaire. Well, why does he need the money?
You know what? Maybe his money is gone. We don't know. He could have squandered all of his money. Just because somebody made a lot of money doesn't mean they have any money left. Maybe that's why he's
true.
doing it.
They may not have the money left.
Addiction. Maybe he's got an addiction like he had before that makes him need money. We don't know. We can only speculate.
So before we get off the NFL and go to tennis with Todd, I want to share my screen and I want to show you the standings for the NFL teams. Okay, let me just show you. Let me just show you this. Let me show you who is there and who is not there. So if you look at my screen, according to ESPN.com, okay, NFL Week 4 Power Rankings 2022 1 through 32. I'll go through them really quickly. Number 1, the Dolphins. I remember at least 10 or 15 years ago, the Dolphins were nowhere near number 1. They were like, psst. But they said Tua is off to the start every Dolphins fan dreamed of in his 3rd NFL season. And I'm happy for him because he did have a lot of physical problems. Huh?
He got a concussion during the game, and they let him come back and play. He couldn't even.
Oh, that's
walk.
horrible! What happened to concussion protocols?
Anybody saw that thing? It was
that's terrible because of concussion protocols, and he's had a lot of physical problems, coming out of Alabama.
Yes.
So for him to be able to wait a minute, can I finish my point? For him to be able to overcome them and come out and start off this season the way he did is a testament to his hard work. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, you can't take anything away from him. He's one of the best football players in the world, of course. But he fell on the back of his head, and he got up and fell, and then he walked a few more feet, and his legs did just like a professional boxer does. He got really rubber legs, and it looked horrible. He went out for a little while, and he came back to play. Nobody ever, like you said, concussion protocol. No one ever comes back that quick. They don't come back for that game at least. It looked horrible. But they played anyway.
I've seen that one of the, I don't know, Chris or Nas, I've seen one of the Manning brothers do that. I think it was Peyton. He got hit so bad with Indianapolis. He just got Peyton. I was like, oh my gosh, he's unbelievable. He just got right back up and went back to the game. I knew he must have had 2, 3, 4 concussions the way he got hit.
It definitely didn't look safe. It was a bad look for the league as well.
Seriously, the NFL takes concussion protocol. So Miami, in order to get around it, they said he had back tightness. They said, he actually hurt his back. It wasn't a concussion. And that's why he was able to come back out there after his back loosened up a little bit. So the NFLPA is supposedly triggering an investigation into that situation. But, yeah, Stephen did describe that accurately. Like, the dude was concussed. Like, he was punch drunk when he tried to walk. They pulled him in at halftime. They pulled him out for one series, let Teddy Bridgewater play for a series, and then he played the whole second half, and they just acted like it didn't happen. So the NFL getting around concussion protocols, nothing new.
Horrible. Okay, so Tua did excellent. Number 2, Chris. Week 3 ranking, the Buffalo Bills were number 1. They've gone down to number 2. What happened other than this loss?
Well, for one thing, we can't run the ball like we should be able to. And our coach makes bad decisions when it comes to clock management. We should have won that game. All we need to do was kick a field goal, at least attempt to kick a field goal, but we couldn't get in position in time to do it. That's why the offensive coordinator slammed his tablet down, because he was so upset that we botched the play.
Right.
Okay.
That was pretty funny.
Going down to the third and the best team, week number 3 ranking, they were 8. And now week number 4, they are number 3. They are the Philadelphia Eagles.
Stacy. Hey, Stacy, going into week number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles are number 1.
Hey.
Going into this week 4, that's week 3. Y'all are number 1, Stacy.
Oh, shucks. Now, this is, if you look at this, this is for, thank you, though, Stephen.
That's week 3.
This is for, if you look at this article, it is for week 4, the NFL week 4 power rankings. And according to ESPN, that's where they have us.
There's no way the Miami's number 1 team in the league.
Yeah, and then 4, Kansas City Chiefs.
Philadelphia is the number 1 team in the league.
I agree.
I'll look it up
I agree
and I'll
with
show you.
Stephen. So
Philadelphia is the number 1.
Kansas,
I've seen this today.
I got to move on. Kansas City Chiefs are number 4. Last week they were number 2. And the Los Angeles Rams, the Super Bowl winning Los Angeles Rams, Keith, are number 5. And last week they were number 4. The offense needs to improve. What happened with the Rams, Keith? Keith, what happens with your Rams?
Well, I don't know. They were champions last year. What happened? That's a good question. I don't know.
Anybody know what happened?
Just let Keith go buy a Cooper Cup jersey. You would like Cooper Cup. Just do that. Buy a Cooper Cup jersey. You'll really like him.
All right. All right. So that's all I wanted to talk about was my Eagles and how they're moving up. I really don't care about any other team. Sorry. Not sorry. Moving on. Tennis and Todd. Hey, Todd. Todd and Tennis, you want to talk about, let me stop sharing the screen. And my cousin Jenny is on. Cousin Jenny.
All right.
And Todd and Tennis. Jenny and Tennis. You want to talk about, Jenny, Roger Federer and what happened?
Hello,
yeah.
Doc.
So, I don't know how many of you guys are aware of Roger Federer retiring just this past weekend, officially. So this weekend was the Laver Cup. That's named after Rod Laver, who was a great tennis player in the 1950s and 60s, I believe. But the Laver Cup was always kind of close to Roger Federer's heart. He's just, a big fan of Rod Laver and just looks up to him, and he's a mentor of his. So it was very sad to see him go. He played doubles. I think they played sort of a round robin type of matches. And so it's actually 2 teams, Team Europe versus Team World. So Team Europe, a lot of the big time European players, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Andy Murray, Novak Djokovic. Yeah, yep. Team World is just, I guess I'm actually not sure how they get picked, but a couple of American folks, well, actually a lot of American folks. This is
Tiafoe.
Yeah, Francis Tiafoe, Jack Sock, a couple other American players. So Team Europe has been beating Team World for the last few years because they had Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic and so on. But this time, Team World rallied and won. And so Federer and Nadal were teamed up in doubles. Everybody was super excited, but they actually lost to Francis Tiafoe and Jack Sock, who really played well. Francis Tiafoe This is, I think, his breakout year. I would say it's his probably second breakout year. He's just doing better and better. He was in the U.S. Open, got to the semifinals this year. The whole big story this weekend was about Roger Federer, and there's footage out there of him. He's a really, really emotional guy. As big of he's bigger than tennis. As big of a tennis player and as big of a star as he is, this guy won't hesitate to cry at emotional moments several times. And so he was crying. Rafa was crying. I wasn't crying. I'm just kidding. I definitely got choked up. Especially when Rafa lost it, I think I almost lost it. But this guy is just he's a great ambassador for tennis. He's just done him, Rafa, Djokovic. I just don't think in our lifetime we'll see people, since they've been in. I think there's some statistic on this. I think there've been like 80 Grand Slams, starting from their era on, and they've won probably about 60 of them amongst those three. Are you ever going to see that again in our lifetime? I don't think so. That was just amazing to witness, along with Serena. Just incredible. Are you going to see another woman win 23 Grand Slams? I guess never say never, but I never. So that was the big story this weekend. So long, Roger Federer. It's just so sad to see him go, but we still got some players in there who are still going to play at least a couple more years. Djokovic, Rafa Nadal. Hopefully Andy Murray. He's been hurt. Hopefully he gets back up to speed. So that's it. Yeah.
All right. So I have a picture up, Jenny, of Roger Federer and Djokovic and some other players. I don't recognize them, but I want to say thank you to Roger Federer, like everyone else, for showing tennis, for sharing his skills with us, a great part of his life and our lifetimes. Cousin Todd?
For Jenny or Todd, I got a question for them. For tennis.
Wait a minute, Cousin Todd.
Oh, she's said that 1,000 times. I was just sad to see him lose, even though he lost to Tiafoe, who I like. I didn't want him to lose that. Him and Nadal, I wanted them to win, so he can go out a winner. But it is what it is. His body was not holding up, so he had to come out. But he had a good tennis career. He and there was a guy before him, Pete Sampras. They remind me of each other. Really good player. And so I didn't get choked up, but I was sorry to see him go. Just like Serena, who I think they're around the same age. I think he may be a year older than Serena. But I was sorry to see him go.
Hey, Todd, I got choked up too. I teared up some because it was emotional. It really was. And it was just like when anybody that's so great, retires, it's something about it. You're going to miss something. But for Stacey, indulge me for 1 second, please.
Well, you're wait a minute. You're coming in on Keith's time. I made Keith wait, and now you're running over his time. Keith, so is that what you want to do?
Keith, will you yield 20 seconds for me, Keith?
Of course he will. He wants to get married.
Thank you, Keith.
Go ahead.
For the integrity of the show, that we've built up for so many years, let me tell you, the Eagles are number one right now. They're in the number one position going into week 4. The number 2 team is the Buffalo Bills. The number 3 team is the Miami Dolphins. Number 4 team.
To bring up power rankings, would you let Keith ask his question?
Yes, because yes, I did. I did because the accuracy means a lot. We have integrity on this show. We do not lie. If anybody lies on this show, we call them out.
You don't talk about power rankings. What's wrong with y'all?
Go ahead, Keith. All right. Thank you, Stephen. Keith, what is your question for Jenny?
Yeah, either Jenny or Todd. What I wanted to know is, and I hope I don't sound like a racist, I want to know why.
Oh, you will, because it's deliberate. Go on, Tom.
I want to know how many where are the black male tennis players, since Arthur Ashe? I mean, where are they?
I just named one. I just said Tiafo. Maybe
Yeah.
you didn't hear that.
I didn't
Yeah,
hear that.
he just won in doubles.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's and people were talking about now that Serena's gone, and they were saying how who she influenced, and people were saying not only black women, but black men. So you have Francis Tiafoe, you have Felix Auger Aliassime. He's Canadian.
Ali Asim, and I like him too.
Uh,
And
there's
you
another.
They inspired a lot of white people to play too.
Yeah, but just in terms
but
of
nobody's talking about them.
yeah. Well, it's just in terms of history, and as far as tennis goes, tennis historically has been there's been blockades and barriers to.
Oh yeah, I understand all that. I know what you're saying.
Right. So in terms of when we talk about who they've influenced, it's in those terms. It's just a
Right.
kind of a historical imperative of people of color, black people being blocked from getting into
That's
tennis.
right.
Even gosh, I don't know why I'm blanking on her name, but our one of our famous black women. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm blanking on her name right now. But when she first,
Who was this? A tennis player?
yes. Oh my gosh.
Zena Garrison.
No, not Zena Gibson.
No, the first one.
Althea Gibson. Oh my
Althea,
gosh.
yeah.
Thank God I remember that. That's so embarrassing to forget
I
that.
like
But
Althea.
Althea Gibson. So when she was first getting, she had many barriers, and she needed, allies, white allies to make her way into the game. So that's what we're talking about. And so she's a huge influence on the Williams sisters, and Williams sisters are influence on, the black women players of today. So Coco Gauff, so that's what we're talking about. So anyway,
Yeah, but he's got his eye towards black men. So
there's another black player. He's from
Australia. Who is that? I don't like him.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he's Greek and Australian, but that's
I forget what his name is. Something with a K or something. He's just
yeah,
crazy.
Nick Kyrgios.
Right.
Yeah, he's Greek and I think Australian.
He's probably black, but he won't say so.
But there's another guy from Sweden. I think his name is Mikael Weimer.
A black man from Sweden?
That's how you pronounce his name. Ymer. Weimer or Emer. I think it's Emer actually. Emer. That's how you pronounce it. But he's a black Swedish, young man tennis player.
Right.
He's definitely on the come up for sure. So
the thing is, Jen, this is how these Republicans will hijack your show and your time. He's the one that made us go into all this so that he can learn that there are black men that play tennis. He was hoping that there weren't. So,
all right, thank you. I've got to move on.
Oh, look,
we're running out of time.
That's a tag team.
Can I say something real quick too before y'all go though?
Yes, go ahead, Nas.
Just real quick. Federer represents excellence. The footwork, the technique, everything that Federer was. There was a point to where everybody was saying, okay, this guy looks like he's going to be the greatest to ever do it. Will there be a rival? Will anybody ever stand up to him? Then you get the Nadal situation. Then you get Djokovic coming in later on. And we probably saw some of the best tennis to ever exist based on, like Jenny laid out with their Grand Slam total. During this period, we saw some of the best tennis ever. And like Federer is a dog, man. Like this dude wants to beat you. Like he's a smiling, nice guy and
right.
everything else. But on that tennis court, that dude is a killer, and he did it until his body would not allow him anymore. And shout out to Nadal. Nadal is like getting injections in his feet to still play. Like, it's a sport. These guys have made a tremendous amount of money, so it's not the money that's pushing them. It's the idea of being, one of those greats. So it's a beautiful thing.
Okay, thank you. We're going to thank you, cousin Jenny, Dr. Jenny, board certified. She is not a quack, Dr. Jenny.
No, but Stephen is a quack, that's for sure.
Thank you, doctor.
She's a quack. If she puts out misinformation, then she doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't know if she's a quack or not, but she put out misinformation.
Be quiet.
Okay, sorry, Jenny. I muted him. So thank you,
Can
Dr.
you
Jenny.
imagine this ignorant? I don't even have words to describe this psycho calling you a quack. He should be thrown in jail. But he gets these things from the dark web.
So
he
I'm
just
going to move.
repeats what they say. They call all scientists are quacks, all physicians are quacks. Only one that's not a quack is Donald Trump. You see.
Okay, I'm going to move on. We're going to quickly, I'll share my screen. We're going to quickly congratulate the WNBA champions, the Las Vegas Aces, on their win. Congratulations to them. They had a big, if you can see, September, it was up, this article written by Mick Akers from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Thousands of fans flocked to the Strip on Tuesday evening to celebrate the Aces WNBA championship. Congratulations to them. I think it was the first one they have ever experienced. Now, on to the NBA. And, you know, I must say, I hate talking about people's private business. I'm really not interested. I don't care. I would rather talk about the Eagles being number one during the week.
What do you mean?
I'd rather
what
talk
private business. If you're talking
will you
about
let me
Keith
finish?
and Stephen's
You gotta
marriage,
let me finish.
That's not private.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, you gotta let me finish. I'd rather talk about the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. I'd rather talk about the Sixers, you know, going to the playoffs. I'd rather talk about even the Phillies, since they lost to, you know, the Atlanta Braves. I'd rather talk about that. It's hockey season. I'd rather talk about how the Flyers are going to look, you know, the Philadelphia United. I'd rather talk about how they're the hottest professional soccer team in the country right now, instead of talking about I'm a Udoka. But we have to talk about it because it was news. So Ime Udoka is the head coach for the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics announced last Thursday that he would be suspended for 1 year. And then he came out with a statement. He is engaged to actress Nia Long. She came out with a statement. But the gist of it is he had a consensual sexual relationship with someone who worked for the Celtics organization. And that woman that he had that consensual relationship actually was the wife of a vice president of finance for the Boston Celtics. That's all they say. Is more to the story, which I'm sure there is. I really, really don't want to talk about it because it's getting down into the weeds and the trash. Does anybody have any comments before we move on?
Keith would love to hear the weeds in the trash.
I had to talk about it and say something about it because this is the start of the NBA season, and this was the news. And he is a male who worked really, really hard, 21 years to make it to head coach of any NBA basketball team. Stephen, go ahead.
Call on me. Yeah, if anybody has I can't hear me.
I'm sorry, Stephen. Go ahead.
If anybody has consensual sex with someone else, to me, it's okay. If they're adults, it's okay. If they work together, it's okay with me. Maybe they have something going on, whatever. Maybe somebody had some vendetta against him is what it seems like to me. Because generally, people just mind their own business and people have sex with who they want to have sex with. And that's the way of the world.
That was against the company's rules, though, Stephen.
Can we move past Stephen?
No, I said if it goes against the rules of that league and it goes against this and it goes against that. But in general, to me, consensual sex with two adults doesn't bother me.
Reality in the rest of the world. In the rest of the world, you have things called company guidelines, and amongst these guidelines, which the NBA
I understand that.
After the Donald Sterling
I get that.
After the situation in Phoenix, to where power dynamics are very important when it comes to relationships, especially within their building as far as a team. So if somebody's subordinate, a relationship is not acceptable as far as a sexual thing.
Difficult time to be.
I'm sorry that I'm trying to show a picture and a recording came up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It goes on everywhere. Why is this one being pointed
Stephen,
out? Because
Stephen, you gotta let Nas finish his. He let you finish.
Nas,
Go
it
ahead.
happens all the time. Why is this one being spotlighted?
Go ahead, Nas.
Well, again, so something happening all the time has nothing to do with a company, their guidelines, and what they expect from their employees. If you put a company into a situation to where legally they're liable for something happening because they didn't act on
you're fired.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we're in a holding pattern where they're saying a year-long suspension, which is something that never happens in the NBA. So they're trying to fire him, and they're trying to fire him with cause, and they're going through their investigation, and it looks like they're going to figure out a way to do so. So I don't know if he's even going to be able to get some of that money that he's owed. He may just be fired with cause and have to walk away. But ultimately, companies do this to protect themselves. And if you violate that stuff, then yeah, you put yourself out there. And you could have a severe punishment like he's facing.
It had to be more than consensual sex.
I don't see the whole thing where people are trying to have sympathy for Udoka on this. He just made a huge mistake. And now he's got to build his career back up after this. And that's usually a long trek for NBA coach.
I have a question, Stacey.
Before he gets another NBA head job.
I have a question.
She's going to have some tough swimming as well, like trying to work in NBA circles
Hold on,
after
Chris.
something like this. So yeah, this is
Why didn't the woman get suspended?
Wait a minute, Chris. Hold on, Chris.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Chris.
Why didn't the woman get suspended? If it was consensual sex and he got suspended for a year, why didn't she get suspended?
Well,
So it had to be more than consensual sex.
The reporting kind of muddied everything, but yeah, she's gonna have a hard time working in the NBA. Now, you say why wasn't she suspended?
Why
now
not?
you run into the difficulty of, do you want to seem like you're silencing a woman, or do you want to seem like you're running a woman out on a rail?
But if it's consensual sex, it doesn't make a difference.
For the same way Udoka hasn't been fired, whatever consequences she's gonna have to face, they're not gonna be brought right now.
If it's not consensual sex, it's called rape. I don't see what the difference is. You can't punish him for doing one thing. That it takes two to tango. She was there with him, so unless he forced her to do it, why isn't she suspended?
Right on.
I just tried to explain it.
All right, so let's
You
go ahead, Keith,
out,
real
Chris.
quick, and then we're going to move on to politics before we don't have any time to talk about politics.
Well, I just wanted to say, Chris better watch out. He's starting to sound a little conservative there. These guys might turn on him.
Oh, I'm not worried about that.
Sounds like an independent thinker.
I'm an
independent thinker.
Exactly. Because if this happened to anybody else in the real world, everybody would be suspended.
But no, brother asked a legitimate question.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is, we're seeing the legal process start out right now. The only thing the Celtics are worried about right now is protecting themselves from liability. They're trying to dot all the I's and cross all the T's to make sure they can't be sued. Yes, there's going to be repercussions for both. I doubt that woman works in the NBA after this, because imagine how hard it is for her to be trusted and to go into another organization after all the dust settles on this. And again, Ime Udoka, he's going to be going down to square one, man. That dude's going to be in the G League fighting for, his coaching career again.
Yeah, and I don't understand. And I don't.
College right now, and a college professor and a student, if they have a consensual relationship, guess what? He's still getting fired. Why? Because she is a subordinate to him. The power dynamic is off. You can't.
Yeah, but the thing about that is, as I've done a lot of reading about this online, they said that, this happens all the time. This happens all the time between players, coaches, different people. This is nothing surprising.
An example.
So why is this more important than any other situation that's happened with another coach and a subordinate?
Right.
Because he's famous. He's dating a famous person.
That you don't normally have. So we're talking about text
But there's
messages.
plenty of famous people that get away with everything.
That's kind of where
There's a vendetta against him. Somebody hates him.
Who do you think hates him? The coach who took them to the finals in
I
his
don't
first year.
know. I don't know.
Her husband
Somebody
probably hates
him.
him.
I don't know.
Her husband probably hates him.
All right, so I want to move on.
Somebody's got a vendetta.
Go Sixers. I want to move on. We had to talk about that.
Well, let me say one thing about that. It was so much talk. I'm leaning towards agreeing with Stephen, only because, for example, if
you want to marry him, you want to marry Stephen now and break up the wedding. You want to break up the marriage.
This is what happens every time I open my mouth. Stacey, never mind. I'm going to just leave it.
Thank you. Bye bye. Now, let's move on.
Please, Stacey, let him continue. He never agrees with me. Let him tell you how he agrees with me.
That's why you had to take a sip of water.
He hasn't agreed with me in 10 years.
By the way,
please let him tell you how he agrees with me.
I just want to say, just for the record, because
hell no.
Hey, Chris, I just wanted to say to you, just for the record, in case you don't know, I am a heterosexual. I'm married to a woman. I'm not. So I just want, because I just want to make sure you know that.
I appreciate you clearing that up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I shared my screen. If you can look this, the woman, according to Reuters.com, article by Jonathan Stempel on September 21st, 2022 at, what is that? 6 p.m. I don't know. Anyway, the woman who falsely accused the black bird watcher loses her lawsuit against her ex-employer. So the white woman who falsely told police she was threatened by a black bird watcher in New York City's Central Park has lost her lawsuit, accusing her former employer, Franklin Templeton, of illegally firing her and portraying the incident as portraying her as racist. In a decision last Wednesday, U.S. District Judge Ronnie Abrams rejected Amy Cooper's claim that she was defamed when Franklin Templeton and its chief executive, Jenny Johnson, referred on 3 occasions to the incident and said they did not tolerate racism. You talked about this first. I remember you talking about the whole thing, Cousin Todd. Do you want to talk about what that means for her to have lost her case against Franklin Templeton?
No.
Nas, do you want to talk about what that means?
Don't want to talk about what means now?
That she lost her case, her lawsuit against Franklin Templeton that said that she was racist. She said, I'm not racist.
That's what she gets. She's a terrible person. This was a terrible event. And she probably picked the worst black person she could even try that setup on, because dude is this buttoned up corporate bird watcher. So
she tried to weaponize the police department.
And her phone call to the police was damning, when she tried to present herself as if she was in danger and something was going to happen to her. Yep. So, yeah, she deserves it.
If he'd have got shot or hurt or something by the police department and it was an accident, it would have been twice as bad. So I agree. She tried to weaponize the police department. She got caught doing it, and she got fired.
That's what happens. Moving.
I'd forgotten about the story. When you first said it, I thought you were saying he was a Blackbird follower. I thought somebody who just followed Blackbirds. I didn't know that he was a Blackbird follower or a Blackbird watcher or whatever. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together until you reminded me of it. Yeah, but we knew this from the start, that she was Looney Tunes, and she has a problem to start with, and she's not a good representation of anybody of any sort. So we all knew it would come to this conclusion with her, because she wasn't right.
Okay. All right. Anyone else comment before I move on? So the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell told Americans to brace themselves for some bad times ahead. An attempt to avoid inflation, Federal Chairman Powell raised interest rates, which essentially will cause us, the United States, to go into a recession. Keith, do you want to talk about why he did that, or why the Feds feels though they have to avoid inflation, but that's going to take us straight into a recession? If you can look at my screen, you can see the article by Politico.com. Can you see the article?
Yeah.
Okay, by Politico.com.
Yeah.
Politico.com. And you see Federal Chairman Jerome Powell, Board Chair, Federal Reserve Board Chair.
Yep. Well, it's too bad. Aguna's not here, but I'm sure that he might agree with me on the fact that the Feds keep raising and lowering. The Feds, in my opinion, based on the Constitution, they really don't have the authority constitutionally to do what they're doing with interest rates. The Fed should not be doing this. The free market should determine it. And that's because we're not operating, of course, under capitalism anymore. We are pretty much socialists. And that's why these people are going to continue to mess with the economy and destroy it. Their intention is to destroy the economy. I'm sure Stephen agrees with me on that one. So they're going to do whatever they want with this market. And doesn't.
So why are these adult comments? Like the idea that the U.S. is socialist, which is crazy.
Well,
the idea that the Fed chairman wants the economy to fail, which is also wrong. Crazy. Like,
wrong.
Why not think about these things before you say them? Like, why do you do this?
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Okay. All right. So you got to say you can't take 10 years to say why he's wrong. You have to concisely say in 3 seconds why he's wrong.
I keep getting interrupted. He's wrong because they are purposely destroying the economy. You see the way the economy is right now, as we speak. Our gas rates are up higher. Okay, in California, they've gone up, and yet we've been using all the reserves. At least when I say we, Biden has tapped into the reserve oils, and he is using and depleting all of the reserves. So they do all this on purpose. The economy is being destroyed, and if there's anybody,
all right.
Oil and gas have nothing to do with
my final words. If anybody on this show is happy with their financial status, then let me know. I'd like to know.
Why would he want to destroy it? Just give me a plausible answer, a reasonable answer.
I can tell you why he wants to destroy this country. Is because you need to destroy America to have a Marxist revolution all over the entire world. That's why they want to destroy America. We cannot have a constitution. We cannot be free and have the Marxist revolution take over the entire world. That's what the problem is right now.
That is what you seriously
think.
Okay, let me let him finish.
Like, this is...
All right, so Cousin Todd, can you
No, ma'am.
want to comment on that?
No, I want to move on from this ridiculous topic that these nut jobs, you are allowing them. Every time I open my mouth, you shut me off. But these quacks, you let them go on and on and on, making up stuff. Let's get to the next topic because we've only done 2 and we got like 7 to go.
Okay, Chris, you have a comment on this before we move on?
No, they shouldn't be raising the interest rates, but no, that's the only comment that I have.
But we're going to be thrown into a recession. He's telling us to brace for this because
we're there. We're here.
What?
Yeah.
We're already in a recession.
We're not in a recession. Inflation is hitting, and they raised the interest rates to slow everyone down from going out and buying too much and buying homes and things like that. They want to slow everybody down, but that's going to kick us into a recession and make it worse. So when he's telling us to brace, I mean, I think that's pretty serious. If the Federal Reserve Chairman is saying that, I really want to tell
So we were going into.
Why do we have to? Why do we
trying to soften the blow
less while government is more?
You lower the price of borrowing money by raising the interest rates. to help prop up the economy so you can ride through whatever this recession ends up being, whether it's a long one or a short one. This is them preparing for it already, being on the brink of happening.
So
it's not them saying we're trying to ruin the economy. Nobody wants that to be right.
So wait a minute. My question is, and what I want to make clear to our viewers is, what does that mean when he says brace for what's coming? What does that mean to the person the teacher that goes to work every day and comes home?
Higher prices, higher costs.
Well, see, now you're going to make me the bad guy because now I got to say this. So when the federal chairman or anybody makes a statement like that, they're giving a signal to the markets. They're giving a signal to the billionaires, the people with the money, the people who they think matter, and are letting them know how to handle themselves over the next few years. So when you see him come out, when there's a presser scheduled for the Fed to come out, then you see movement on the market immediately because these things signal things. So they knew this was coming, and I bet you'd find a lot of people made some money just on the idea of this, this announcement coming out.
What also happened is the market crashed. We went into a bull and a bear market after that, but you still didn't tell me, what does that mean for the average teacher, the average vice principal, the average principal and firefighter of school in every major city in the United States? What does that mean for the people of Atlanta?
Okay, they're telling you that what we see right now, as far as high rents, high price utilities, high cost of food and everything you consume, those things are either going to stay where they are or get a little more expensive.
Okay.
So they're telling you to prepare.
All right. Okay. Now, Stephen and Keith, you had comments. What were your comments, Stephen and Keith?
Well, Stephen, let me go. I just wanted to say that once again, the economy is being targeted because they want us to live on less. They want us to live a lower standard of life, and they want us to live in slavery.
And who was they?
Who
was they?
The Democrat Party.
Okay, thank you. So Keith, Stephen, what's your comment?
It's the left that wants us to live like this. The left is trying to destroy this country. They're leftist Marxists, and it's not me saying it, it's them saying it. They need to destroy this country to get the leftist Marxist protocol and the New World Order to take all of us over it. And you can laugh, you can think I'm wrong, but everything has proven right.
No,
I have not been wrong on this show in about 10 years. They are.
Well, I was laughing because Todd was mumbling under his breath, talking about the dark web, and that's what I was laughing at. So, Chris,
it's not the dark
do you want to
web.
comment on this
Everything
before I
that
move
we've said
on?
for the last few years has come true. It's not the dark web. It's the truth. It's the light web. It's the light. The light.
All
is
this
the
is
truth,
done
and that's
to
all
enrich
we speak.
billionaires.
Keith and I think Chris as well. We only speak the light. We speak the truth. We're not the liars. Todd is the liar. Todd lies.
We've been on
Todd
this
should be ashamed of
ridiculous
himself
topic for
because
about
all he does is lie.
half an hour.
I don't know why
We've got
he thinks
7 more
he's going to
minutes
come out
left to this show.
okay when all this is done. But you
This
go
is
against good
amazing.
and you side with evil, then you are in
Listen
trouble.
at this quack.
Okay.
This
Listen
is
to
a
this
spiritual
quack.
war that you're going to lose, Todd.
one
Keith
party
and Chris
voted
and I,
against all
Stacey.
the interventions that would help normal people, the idea of them subsidizing gas, the idea of the child tax credit, all these different things that they wanted to do to intervene to try to help people out during this tough time. One party voted against all of those measures. That would be the Republican Party. So the idea that Dems are against the people, and I don't know if that holds. Then he said the Dems are the Marxists and they want to destroy the economy. Okay, first of all, there's not a Marxist in the Democratic Party. They will rush you out of the Democratic Party. They are a centrist capitalist party, number one always. Matter of fact, the tech sector and the media and entertainment sector, who are their biggest donors, those are the people whose interests they represent for the most part. But this idea that they're Marxists and they're secret socialists, nah, man, these people are capitalists.
Are their policies working for you now? Are there policies working for you?
Learn what these words mean before you use them.
Are there policies working for you, Nas? Are there policies working for you? Are there policies working for you? Are there policies working for you? They are in charge. They dominate. That is the Democrats.
So
Keith, I'm the one who's a far left person. No, the Democratic Party doesn't represent me. They don't want any parts of me. They don't want my vote. They don't want my opinion. They don't want to hear nothing from me because I'm somebody from the far left, as they showed you when they knocked Bernie Sanders out, as they showed you when they knocked Jesse Jackson out back in the day. Like, no, the Democratic Party is a business party the same as the Republican Party, and they are not interested in the left, socialists, or Marxists, okay?
all right, so let's move on. Today, the U.S. Senate took a vote to, according to CNN.com, the Senate voted today. This article was by Claire Foran, updated 6:55 p.m. Tuesday, September 27th. This Senate voted today to take up a stopgap bill that would keep the government funded through December 16th as lawmakers work. As lawmakers work to avert a shutdown by the end of the week. The vote had earlier been on the verge of failing due to the inclusion of a controversial permitting reform proposal, but West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin dropped a request to include the proposal after it came under sharp criticism from Republicans and liberals. The Senate will next need to hold a final vote on the stopgap funding bill, and the timing of that vote has yet to be determined, but lawmakers are expected to pass that short-term funding extension through both chambers, and the House comes back into session tomorrow and avert a shutdown before funding expires on Friday at midnight. Why, Cousin Todd, do we go through this every year where we have to do some sort of last-minute shenanigans in order to avert a shutdown of the federal government?
That's just what they do. They kick the can down the road, and that's just what they do.
Over and over again? What's the point in
Over and
kicking the
over
can
and
down the
over.
road over and over again?
Because you can't blame me, and then I can't blame you. That's just the way that game is played.
Chris?
I disagree with that. I think that the reason why they do it is because one party controls all the money and they use it to hold up the other party from getting what they want. Neither political party actually is for America. I mean, let's be honest about it. They're all for themselves and all for the corporate interests. So once we change that thinking and get money out of politics, then everything will change. But as long as money's involved, nothing will ever change. They'll do this 4 years later.
Okay, let's move on. This is a part of our roundtable discussion because we're running out of time and we do have to stop very shortly. Cousin Todd, you wanted to talk about what?
Oh, I don't have my every other topic. Russia. There was
The
how
draft.
Russia is, the draft, how they're rounding up the fellas in Russia and throwing them in this war.
Prisoners.
And, I always thought, like, at this particular time, if the citizens would unite against the police, they would outnumber the police and could overtake them. Because the military is busy. You see what I mean? So they should think about doing that at this time.
But you got to
So
think,
you're
though,
talking
Todd.
about, wait, you just talking about overthrowing a government.
No, I said the
But
police
you-
department.
like
That's
Iran.
not the government.
You think the police in America will shoot you? What do you think they'll do to you in Russia?
Yeah, but you can't shoot everybody. This
They
is
can try.
what- this
They
is what
would try.
Well, you have to die for revolution.
They
This
also
is
have
the point I'm
intelligence
making.
on everyone.
This is the point I'm making.
How do we know?
When, oh my gosh.
I don't think
Okay,
Russians
you
are
all
allowed to have
talk.
weapons, are
I'll
they?
just listen.
Go
How
ahead,
many
Cousin Todd.
Russians have guns?
Okay, so everybody's muted. Yay. This is the time to do it because the military is busy. And so either you make a move or you're going to war. They're kidnapping you. So you've got to turn this thing around. Putin is never ending. So if they were smart, I was watching on TV how there was about 30 or 40 cops and there was about at least 200 people on the streets, and the cops were hitting them and all that kind of. So I thought this would be an opportune time to overtake these guys. And so to not do that, you're getting ready to go to war.
Okay.
That's all. The next topic
Chris?
was Italy. And
Okay, what else about Italy? Go ahead with Italy.
Just that they have this new president, and she worships Mussolini. And she has
not been installed as the new president. She's been elected but not installed. Go ahead.
Okay, she won. And so you have these radicals like her. She was in New York. She went to the what is that Klans meeting you people have? The CPAC. She was at the CPAC and just talking completely crazy. And so she's a radical, and this happens from time to time. It almost happened in France, but Macron happened to win out. Who else? You just have these radical people that, and I think America should shun them. We should have nothing to do with Italy when she's installed.
Okay, and what's the other thing?
I don't have my notes in front of me, but Italy, Russia. The hearings is tomorrow.
It's postponed.
Right, but they were supposed to have them tomorrow, and the information.
The January
was Roger
6th.
Stone.
The January 6th. I want to explain what hearings. The January 6th hearings are postponed.
Right, but it was supposed to happen tomorrow with Roger Stone, which Keith and Stephen won't believe anything unless Donald Trump says it. They have clips of Roger Stone incriminating himself and the president. And so it is obvious that the election was not stolen from the things he was saying. Just say it was stolen and just say you won. Doesn't matter if it's true or not, say it. And Donald Trump jumped right on board with it long before the voting even happened. So it's sensible, rational, intelligent people recognize that was all a scam. And only weak-minded people fell for it. But like I said, Donald Trump knows his audience, and he takes advantage of them. This is why he has $250 million from them. How much did you guys send?
And you guys, who are you asking? Who are you asking your guys, Todd?
Every Republican on the show. So Stop the Steal was never a thing. It was just a way to bilk people out of money. And dumb people sent their money in thinking they were stopping the steal. And Trump was just spinning it like water. So there you are.
All right. And the last thing, Todd, was NASA, where I worked for President Bush.
Right. And they sent that missile to knock that meteor off course. Don't know if it worked or not. That's going to take a while to find out, but they think it did. And I didn't know if I liked that or not. I didn't know if they should be doing that sort of thing. Very scary.
You realize it would hit the planet and kill everybody if they didn't try that.
That's not why they did it. They did that for the future, just in case.
Not that particular asteroid, yes,
right.
But that's a potential to happen, though.
Well, I don't know if that. But they said it last time that happened, we went through an ice age. But I don't know if that's the real reason why they did it or what exactly they did. I don't believe everything I hear, unlike others who ride the dark web and just repeat it.
So let's bring in Stephen. Stephen, let's talk about what we're talking about, what you see on the screen as I'm sharing the NASA picture. This is the NPR. It says, this is what NASA spacecraft saw just seconds before slamming into an asteroid. What's your response to that, Stephen?
Did they crash into it?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
And
You were probably
no one
busy on
was
the dark
it.
web.
No
You
one
didn't hear
died. No
about
one
it.
was on the spacecraft. No one died.
No.
Never
No.
mind, Stephen. We're going to move on.
I don't have any idea. They just like nicked it, and maybe it helped change its trajectory towards Earth, and maybe we all live because of it. I don't know. If
Okay.
maybe there's going to be
Chris?
proof of it
They
coming
were
out later.
seeing if they
If it
could change. It wasn't.
We're running out of time. I got to move
Okay.
on. Chris?
Oh, so it
What's your
wasn't
comment on
directed at us, but they hit an
Um,
asteroid with something to change its
to
trajectory
see if it
just
would.
to try it out.
Yes. That's
Cousin
right.
Chris?
we already have
No, I
missiles
don't
that
know. Maybe
are
if they
trained to hit
maybe if
other
they nicked
missiles.
it, and it's like people who cut down a tree and don't know what they're doing. Maybe it would have fallen on the earth like a tree would fall on your house.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
trust
anybody wants
NASA
an
that much
asteroid
right now because NASA
to
hasn't
hit
gotten the
the
right
world.
people in there for a long time. When Elon Musk can be better than NASA, then not much.
Okay,
Elon
Chris,
Musk
go
is
ahead.
crazy. Elon Musk is an idiot. But I think it's
No,
a good
he's an
thing. Hopefully,
idiot. Right.
yeah, he is an idiot. But I hope it worked, and I
He's
hope
an
it
idiot. One of the
helps
smartest
us for
people
the
ever
future.
lived.
Yeah,
He's a
that
rocket
doesn't
science.
that doesn't mean
All
he's
right.
not an idiot. You can be smart and be an idiot at the same time.
So, okay,
Elon
Keith.
Hey,
Musk is also
duly
not an
noted.
engineer or a scientist.
Now
All
you're
right,
talking
Keith.
about me.
Keith,
Yeah.
your comments very quickly. You got 3 seconds on what NASA did.
No comment.
Okay, I'll keep going with you, Keith. Your comment on Roger Stone promoting violence and saying what he
No
said.
way.
What did he say?
Cousin Todd, what did he
He
say?
said, just say the election was stolen. Just go with it.
They said
he
march
said,
the
let's
electors
hear
out
it.
with armed guards, take over with force, and this was before the election. This was he was saying they should do.
and he said, F the voters. Let's just do it. He's talking to a bunch of hoodlums.
Well,
and
if we have
thugs.
solid proof of that, then he should be in trouble. If it's just more
Well,
bull
there's a
crap,
video.
then it's just more bull
There-
crap.
No,
We
there's
can
a
fertilize our gardens with it.
it's on a video that he was making because he wants to be a big
All right,
fat
I want
movie
to see
star.
this video.
I know you
I want to
do.
see
Well,
the video.
just search it. You'll find it. It's not hard. It's been trending all day. Where
Was
have
he
you been?
that guy?
Send
Was
it,
he
send,
that
somebody
big?
send it to Stacy. Stacy will send it to me.
Was he that
'Cause I don't
big,
believe you.
giant-sized fellow, that big guy that was talking that crap, in the crowd, and they said, "FBI, he's a Fed." The big guy.
No, we're talking about Roger Stone. He
Roger
was in a
Stone.
controlled environment, sitting on a couch with a camera in front of him.
Oh, I see.
Those reporters know what
Well, Stephen said, if he said all that, then he should be jailed. Put him away.
Yeah, but let's
Yeah,
see
but
it.
Okay,
Donald Trump was listening to
seen
him
it?
and
You haven't
doing
seen
what he said to do.
No, Donald Trump didn't do that.
Ma'am,
Donald Trump
So,
didn't
Todd,
do
ma'am,
you-
anything wrong.
ma'am, he
Donald
did.
Trump is your
No.
boogeyman.
Donald
Todd.
Trump,
Donald Trump is your
Donald Trump
boogeyman.
So, Cousin Todd, you said to me it was a bad week for Donald Trump last week. Why was it a bad week for Donald Trump last week, the former
because
president?
he lost in court. He in New York. The woman, I forget her name, and Trump hates her. He calls her a
Yeah, it
racist.
doesn't matter. She's a Trump hater.
James,
She's a
the
Trump
New
hater.
York
It doesn't
Attorney
matter.
General
What?
James.
Letitia James.
Yeah, she's hated
New
Trump
York Attorney
ever
General
since he
James.
was born.
Why would she hate Trump ever since he was born? That's what he told you. He knows how dumb you are, so he knows you believe everything he says.
That was
So
an
anyway,
exaggeration,
she's
Todd. I'm
doing
sorry
her
you
job.
don't understand exaggerations.
No, I don't understand anything from the dark web. Anyway, she's doing her
It's not
job,
a dark web.
and he's
She
a criminal.
hates
He's a
him.
crook, and
She
his
ran.
whole
The only
family's
reason
a
she's
crook.
there in her position is because she said, "I'm going to get rid of Donald Trump." She hates him. She's
Okay.
biased.
What does that have to
Tell
do
me,
with
Keith,
anything?
am I
She's
lying?
not biased. That's the law. He got caught.
No, it's not.
He's
All right,
appraising his
we're out of
property
time.
for.
Guess what? We're out of
What?
time.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, we wasted too much time on basketball and football and Quack City and conspiracy theories
is never a
and
waste of
dark
time.
web
Sports is never a waste
and
of time.
marriage
So-
proposals.
And Keith made it clear he's a heterosexual man married to a woman. Thank you.
Yeah, but what about polygamy?
He's not joking about that. To our first responders in our communities, you make our lives livable.
Your voice.
Thank you. To our women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do in sacrificing your lives. So we are free to say whatever we choose on the show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, who's enjoying his 21st wedding anniversary.
I better come take us out because your voice is totally
He's
breaking
probably
up.
watching the show
On behalf of
Really?
Aguna, how's my voice sound? On behalf of Aguna,
Perfect.
the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, supposedly, Stephen, the quack. Oh, well, he calls himself the libertarian. Imagine that. Then he changed it because he's a flip-flopper to the independent thinker, and he's not the independent thinker.
I'm not a flip-flopper. I don't agree with everything libertarians agree with. I have my own brain.
Okay.
I'm not with anybody else. I'm an independent.
All right. Let me
You
finish
are
closing
a
out the
sucker.
show.
You are a sucker, Todd. Because you
Am I breaking up? Hey, Chris, am I breaking up?
Not anymore. Now you're
Not
in.
anymore. Yeah.
Okay. And
You're a
my
sucker,
cousin
Todd.
Todd.
The sucker.
Thank you to
Why are you
Nas.
always
Thank you,
licking
Nas, for
behind
coming in.
Keith?
And my cousin Chris. Hey, cousin Chris. Thank you for Nas and cousin Chris for coming in. Let's
And
keep
Chris,
this conversation
you're gonna
going
have to
on
get
Twitter.
your head in the game. Stay away from those two quacks.
My head is
They'll
in the
have
game.
you on the dark web by midnight.
I just use
Thank
my
you,
brain cells to
Todd.
think. That's all.
You free.
Catch us on Twitter,
The truth will
Twitch,
set you free, Todd.
Instagram. Check out our new Instagram page. Check us out on the Flow Television Network. Stephanie Stallworth, the Flow Television Network. We'll catch you next week. Same time, same place. Good night.
And Jim and Steven, just read the story before the show. Just read a little.
What's wrong with Nas? What's wrong with Nas? He's got his panties in the wad.
What?
I didn't put them there.
No, you wouldn't
How do you
dare.
put his
Not with
panties in
Keith
the wad?
right there. You wouldn't dare.
No, Keith, head at me.
Trying to give you the book report, like you can tell, like you don't know, you just keep talking. So like, why not just read the stories when Stacey sends them to you? I don't get this.
Good night.
Good night.